Do you remember these Distress Oxide backgrounds from a few months ago? Let's turn a few more of them into stunning, simple cards. Today, I'll show you how to pair these backgrounds with some versatile background dies and sentiment stamps for an effortless yet beautiful result. Let's dive in and give these pieces a new life. Hey everyone, it's Lean from coloradolean.com. Welcome back to the craft room. Okay, so out of these backgrounds that are left, I have chosen these 4 beautiful panels to work with today. Now, while they are really pretty, I do want to do one thing before I actually start making cards. The formula for the Distress Oxide is when you put water on them, they oxidize. And what you're left with is a chalky finish. And while that is beautiful, I do want to make sure that these colors just pop through the die cuts. So in order to do that, I'm going to use Tim Holtz Distress Micro Glaze. Not only will that remove the chalkiness from the image, it will help some of the background colors to come through and some of the water droplets as well. But it's also going to protect these cards in the mail. It is October and the weather is going to start to change. So when I mail these out, it might be raining. And I'm always afraid that if I have a distressed background that has not been protected, the envelope's going to get wet, the card's going to get wet, and it's just going to be ruined. So that's another reason to use the microglaze. I've chosen this panel to do a little example on. As you can see, it is chalky where there has been water. So I think this will give us a really good example. I have a dedicated foam applicator from scrapbook.com, and the domed foam portion just lives in my jar. So I'm going to get a little bit of microglaze on there, and then we will just apply this. You definitely don't need a lot of microglaze. For smaller panels, I would most likely just use my finger, but this is a pretty large piece. Okay, so we have that on there. I have a piece of paper towel and I will just buff that off. Now it does bring up some of the ink. Actually, I don't believe this is ink. I think this is the chalky portion of the oxide. And now you can see where it had been chalky because of the water. It just isn't. And it does bring up some of the background colors a little bit more. And I think that is beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and finish doing my 4 panels. It's not going to be fun to watch, so I will just bust through this. And I will be back with you shortly and we will get started with the rest of our projects. All right, so I am back and all of the cards have had the microglaze put on. I buffed it off with a paper towel and then I did let them sit for just a little bit. It's might be a little hard to see the difference. I can in person. The background colors are just coming out a little bit more, and the whole chalky feel to it is gone. I will have side-by-side pictures up on the corresponding blog post, and that will be listed down below. So let's go ahead and start working on our first card. I am going to use this beautiful teal colored background. And I don't remember what I used on them, so I am definitely going to list the original video when I made the backgrounds. I will put it up in a card here and then, of course, down in the description. So the backgrounds that we're going to be using, or the background dyes that we're going to be using, are my Tim Holtz mixed media backgrounds. I have 2 out of this, which is mixed media number 5. And then I've also used 2 out of mixed media number 1. I have cut all of the backgrounds already, just to save a little bit of time. And these were cut out of Recollections white 65-pound card. And speaking of the card, I will be putting them on 110-pound Recollections card bases. So let's go ahead and start with the first one. I am going to use this diamond pattern out of the mixed media number 1 set. And my card front is approximately 5.5 by 4.25. So I'm going to cut my card panel down to just a little bit under that. I want to make sure that this will not be seen on the front of the card. So we will trim this down. And I'm probably going, I don't know, maybe about 1/8 of an inch. And now we will put this aside for just a few moments. And the stamp set I want to use for this is the Stamps of Life Phrases for Stephanie. I really like this happy birthday stamp here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Mini Misty. This is going to be a horizontal card. So I will put that in there. And I'm going to use the large birthday. And I will center that down on the bottom. And I think I'm going to use the small happy. Oh, do I use a small one or the big one? The big one might fall off the edge just a little bit, but that would be all right. And actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and angle this. Yeah, and I'm going to angle the happy to go diagonally, and then the birthday will be straight. All right, let's realign our card front. And I'm going to be using some Catherine Pooler, All That Jazz, premium dye ink. I got this as a free gift from scrapbook.com maybe a year or 2 ago, maybe last year, maybe the year before. I don't think I've ever used it. So today's the day. And it is going to match this background perfectly. So I am using a little stamp press that my husband made for me. It's a block of wood, a doorknob, and this padding here is from a furniture mover kit, I believe. Okay, so let's, oop. Yeah, I don't like that this lid doesn't stay on here very well. And that's why I had the rubber band on here. Okay, well, that's odd. Oh no. And I got ink on my card. Okay, well, we will figure something out for that. I don't know exactly why the ink looks like it's running here. Maybe my ink pad is just way too juicy. But you know what? We're just going to go with it for now. And I'm going to just clean this off a little bit. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Yeah, I don't know why it looks like the ink is running a little bit here. I don't recall having that issue with that particular stamp the other time I used it, but then again, it's been quite a few years since I have used that. So, anywho, we will keep going. And I'm probably going to cover this up with some sequins or something. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my score tape and my art glitter glue. And we will get our first card put together. So I am curious, those of you that have used Catherine Pooler inks before, are they all that juicy? Or is it just this particular ink pad? Like I said, I've never used it before. It was a free gift. However, if they're all that juicy, I could be too sloppy of a crafter to use them. So yeah, let me know down in the comments what your opinion is on that. I'm very curious. So I'm going to go ahead and get the paper peeled off of here. And now I'm going to come in with some art glitter glue. Take that off. And I'm just going to hit some of these triangles so they stay down. And then I will line this up. Oh, and I did that wrong too. Okay, well, I am just not doing a great job here today. Because I did make my distress background smaller. I should have put the tape on that rather than on my card front. But I think that'll be okay. I am going to take my anti-static pad here, and I'm just going to dust this piece of tape because I don't want that sticking down to my card base. And that feels like the only place. So that's handy. So I'll tuck that back away. And there is the beginning of our card front. And then we will put this onto our card base. And in this instance, I'm going to use both score tape and art glitter glue to make sure this sticks down tight. Alrighty, and now I need to find something to cover that up because that is going to bother me. So how about we try some silver. Let's see my little information cards on the bottom here. This is Metallic Silver Confetti Mix by Pretty Pink Posh. And let's go ahead and just see what this looks like. We'll take a pretty big piece and plop it right there. Maybe a medium-sized piece there. Now I know, see, and this is another thing I need your help with. It's the whole diamond or triangle shape and odd number thing. So, yeah. Yeah, let's just do it like that and see what happens. The big thing is I want to cover that spot up because that's not pretty. And this is an embellishment wand that I picked up from scrapbook.com. It is from Studio Katia. I don't use embellishments very often. I guess because I really don't understand the whole triangle, the whole odd number thing. But there is our first card. All right, for our next card, I'm going to use a die from the Mixed Media number 5 set from Sizzix and Tim Holtz. And I'm going to use this particular background. I could do this one either way. I have a lot of purple and blue up here, and I have a lot of teal down here. But I think we're going to stick with the purple and blue look today. So it will be like that. Let me go ahead and measure my card front. And this is 4 inches wide by about 5 1/4. So we will cut this down to just a little bit shorter than that. And again, I want to make sure that it doesn't show on the front of the card, although that would also look pretty. And also as a reminder, this particular background was done on a piece of Canson XL watercolor paper. That is 140 pounds. So this thing has a mind of its own now. Okay, so that will fit really nicely on there. So this time I'm just going to use art glitter glue because this is very delicate and I did trim it kind of close to the edge. And I'm just going to catch a couple spots in here. There really isn't that much area for glue or for adhesive. But I think if I just hit a couple of spots, it will hold it down nicely. All right. Okay, so we have that glued down. And I probably should have done my sentiment first, but you know, it's me. I'm not always the smartest crafter. So we'll go ahead and put this in our Misty, and I'm going to use a paper hug for you from Picket Fence. And we could do this either way. We could have the sentiment down here, or we could turn it around and have the sentiment up here. And you know what? I think I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to put my sentiment up here at the top. So we will place that right there. Pardon my head. So the ink I'm going to use for this card is Wendy Vecchi's Archival ink from Ranger. And this is in the color Violet. I haven't used these inks in quite a while, but I think this is going to be a really pretty addition to this card. And another thing that's kind of different today, for me at least, is not using black for my sentiments. It's kind of an odd feeling. It almost doesn't feel right because I always use black. But yeah, let's just venture outside the box today. Let's get that just a little bit better right there. Should be using my little handy helper here. There. Perfect. We'll just now, because this is archival ink, I am definitely going to have to get out my archival cleaner for that. But I will just tuck this away for now. So there's another question for you guys. How often do you clean your stamps, and how well do you clean them? I definitely need to do a better job when I use archival inks. I very rarely clean those, although I do have some archival ink cleaner. And there is our sentiment. I really love that color. That is beautiful with this card. So for this one, I am going to just use score tape. Because this background is made on the 140-pound watercolor card, it is going to add a little bit of dimension to the card front. So that in and of itself will be nice. So we will line this up, and it will have a little bit of a white margin there, and that is our finished card. All right, let's get on with our third card. And for this one, I'm going to be using the Simon Says Stamp Thankful Flowers stamp set. I love these large sentiments. They are just really pretty. And I'm going to use this background. And again, I can, just kind of line it up, see where I like it the most. I kind of wish that blue were a little bit more obvious. That kind of makes me a little sad, but it is what it is, right? So let's see. Now I am using Wendy Vecchi's Archival ink in Forget Me Not. So I do want that blue in there somewhere. And I think I'm going to do it right about there because I'll have the blue color in two spots. I'll have this lovely dark purple down here and more of a pink up there. So I think I'm going to do that. And my card front is again 4 inches by 5 1/4. So I will trim this down to about that size. And again, this is on the Canson XL watercolor paper. So it is nice and heavy. A little bit smaller than 4 inches. Right. Now I'm not throwing these scraps away. I can use these on the insides of the cards if I choose to later on. Okay, that is going to be really pretty. This is going to be a horizontal card because this is a rather large stamp. And then I will just center it in this space. And again, I am using Wendy Vecchi's Archival ink in Forget Me Not. Now, as easy as that Catherine Pooler lid came off, these little ink pads, the covers, stay on nice and tight. And I appreciate that until I need to get the cover off in a hurry. And then it is very difficult to get off. Now, it looks like I have some fuzzies that were left on the stamp the last time I used it, which is a bummer. So that is a good reason to make sure you clean your stamps very well the correct way, not the way I do it. But again, it just adds a little bit of character to it. It should be perfectly stamped, but it's not. And I think I'm all right with that. It doesn't matter. I have to be all right with that. Because if that's what you've got, that's what you've got. And again, archival ink will have to be cleaned with a specialty cleaner. Now, how was I going to? Oh, yes, I was going to do it that way. So that will still be a beautiful card. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on here. But I will go closer to the inside rather than the outside. And again, I'm going to just put a couple little dots in here. This glue will dry clear. So if anything squishes out too much, it won't show. And if it does show, you know, there's so much going on that it won't really make a difference. All right, so I will get that on there. That is so pretty. I really like how that one looks. So let's go ahead and get another card base. And again, this card front was 4 inches wide by about 5¼ inches tall. And because of the 110, or I'm sorry, the 140 pound watercolor card, there's a little bit of dimension on there. And of course, I didn't get it straight, so you can see a little bit of the purple right there. But this card is very pretty. I really like how this one turned out. It's a little sploogey of glue there, probably from my mat. But that is so pretty. For our last card of the day, we're going to go back to the mixed media set number 5. And we're going to use these pretty roses over here. And this particular background, this particular background was made with the Canson Graduate Watercolor paper. This is 117 pounds, so it is much lighter, much easier to work with, die cuttable. And the sentiment we're going to use from our Altenew Classic Beauty set. I'm going to use this one here, Like a Rose, Our Friendship is Beautiful. And again, this card front is 4 inches by about 5¼ So I think this time I'm going to just pop it right there on this side. And we will bring our Tim Holtz guillotine trimmer back in and take this down again to a little less than 5¼ by a little less than 4 inches. And let's see, a little less than 4. And of course, I don't know exactly what those measurements would be, so we're not even going to go there. Okay, that's going to be pretty. We will do the inside of these, and there's a lot more going on this particular die cut, so probably need to put a little bit more glue down so nothing pops up while we're working with it or while it's being pulled in and out of envelopes. And again, I forgot to stamp my sentiment before I started this, but oh well, that will be fine. So let's go ahead and bring in our mini Misty again. And you know what? I think I'm going to change my mind on the ink color. I had originally decided to use cactus flower, but I think that's going to be a little bit too pink for this. So let me bring in my options here. Yeah, it dries back quite a bit, but I think that might be a little much. So let's just go with a little bit of, let's go with a little bit of the watering can. We'll just add a subtle look to that. And this right here is the mini archival ink storage tin by Ranger and Tim Holtz. Very handy to have. So if you have little inks, you should definitely get that holder. So let me go ahead and get out my sentiment. Set that off to the side. And let's go ahead and put that up here at the top this time. And I'm trying to line this up on the grid lines on my Mini Misty. That could be all right. All right, so let's go ahead and ink up our stamp with watering can. I really like that one. So we will set that off to the side. So while I was putting the score tape on the back of this card front, I decided it needed a little bit something to go with this darker sentiment. So I just grabbed a piece of black cardstock. I'm not sure which brand this is. I think I got this from my local scrapbook store. But I have it cut to a little under 4¼ by 5½. So we'll see how close and how straight I can get this. I'm going to try and take just a smidge off that in there. And that is the fantastic part about this Tim Holtz guillotine trimmer, is you can take off just that much, if not less. And it really helps if you don't get your card cut the way you want. So let's go ahead and get some score tape on the back of this. And then I will get it applied to my card base. And I will be back and show you the finished card. Well, here we are with the final reveal of all 4 cards. I am so happy with how they turned out, especially the way the colored ink really makes the sentiments pop. On these last 2 cards, I added some rock candy confetti from Trinity Stamps. Just a little something extra to fill in those white spaces. I think it adds the perfect finishing touch. As a reminder, there will be close-up photos of all 4 cards on the corresponding blog post at coloradolean.com. Thank you so much for joining me as I made a few more simple cards with my Distress Oxide backgrounds. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when I put up the next video. Until then, have a great day, you guys. Bye.